So today we're gonna have a casual conversation. Tuongele ama tusiongele. For my non-Swahili speakers, that means let's chat or let's not chat, right? I had a pretty long day today, and I know that I had promised y'all that I would give you a part two from yesterday's video around Brooklyn's gentrification. But I had to run errands for like 5, 6 hours today. And after going into Manhattan and coming back and everything, I did not have the energy in me to get on my bike and start riding around Brooklyn. But tomorrow, I promise I'll keep up on my word and I'll give y'all that video. But what I wanted to talk about today is the encroachment that I've seen on our national forests in Kenya, right? Now, you guys may know by now, I spend an unhealthy amount of time on Google Earth and Google Maps. And over the past few years, I've slowly noticed that no matter where you're looking from, whether it's central Kenya, western, or any other part, we don't have that many forests. But regardless of where you're looking from, if you zoom in on Google Earth, right, you'll start to notice things that you may not notice if you're on the ground, right? And that's why I love going on Google Earth. It lets you see things that you may not see from first person, and it lets you also understand areas in a different perspective. But anytime I zoom in to our forests, especially along the borders, I've noticed that you will always find somebody doing their own little shenanigans on the edges of our forest. And sometimes they're not little shenanigans. Sometimes they're big shenanigans, as in full on farms, full on tree farming and everything, right? You'll see like the forest cover blending so perfectly together. And then as you go towards the edge, you'll start seeing unnatural things. Nature on its own does not create straight lines. But what you'll start to notice at times is that on the edge of the forest, there's these perfectly straight lines, and the trees suddenly change from this continuous green cover to this like very dark color or this very light color. And usually the dark color is like a different type of tree that's not indigenous to that forest. So the way nature naturally grows, trees will be like this type of tree here, right next to this other type of tree, like six different types of trees together. But then all of a sudden, there's like 2 acres of a dark green tree. And what that is people encroaching and using the forest that we all share, right? That those forests belong to us as Kenyans. It doesn't belong to the farmer who lives on the edge of the forest. It belongs to all of us. But Kenyans, we're very unserious people. Very, very unserious. We think that it belongs to us just because we live next to it. But I don't even know where I wanted to start. Let's start, what's it called? Let's start on the central part of Kenya. I come from central, right? And for me, when I look at Kenya as a whole, no community is better than the other because this happens all around the country. And when I'm looking specifically, we're gonna start off with the Aberdare Ranges. If you guys don't know the Aberdare Ranges, it's a long, green, what's it called, set of hills, and they're set aside as a national reserve, meaning they are reserved. The funny thing that that I laugh at is that if I was to try the same thing that I'm seeing here in the US, within seconds, I'd be locked up. Within seconds, I would be, what's it called? The Forestry Service would come and find me and shut me down. Not only the Forest Service, Americans themselves would be like, yo, who do you think you are, bro? If I try to go, like, let's say, Yellowstone National Forest, right? If I went there and I started cutting down trees, psh, let alone what the Forest Service and the government would do to me, Americans would find me themselves. But we're gonna start off in a place here. Let me zoom in because if you guys are on a computer, you could also look at what I'm looking at. On the central part along the Aberdare Ranges, on the northeast, southwest, on the western side, right, the Nyandaro side, if you guys type in a place called Kamae, Kamae, right, it is within the borders of the forest, from my understanding, because they put dotted lines as to where the forest reserve is set. And what you'll notice if you zoom into these places is that it's not natural. Usually, how a forest grows is there's a continuous cover that looks the same. Now, maybe you may get to the highlands and trees thin out, so now it looks like a lighter shade of green. But within the thick forest, it's usually a continuous blanket of like trees of different types. Now, nature on its own doesn't have straight lines. And when you go to the edges of our forest, what you start to notice is it'll be blanket of indigenous trees mixed in with each other. And then all of a sudden, two 2 acres of a perfect square of some different type of tree. That's not nature. That is some silly Kenyan who decided that, oh, just because I live along the edge of the forest, I'm going to use it as mine. And for me, I'm like, that's not your forest, bro. That is my forest as well. That's his forest. That's her forest. That's our forest. But it happens. So if you type in that place that I said, Kamae, you'll notice that there are large tracts of people, what's it called? Growing trees that definitely are not indigenous. Looking from a Google Earth perspective, I think these are like cypress trees or something. And the reason I know that this is not natural is because they're perfect squares. Nature doesn't do perfect squares. And when I think about this, I'm like, who allows this? Who allows this? Don't we have the Kenya Forestry Service? Kenya, oh, I don't even know what's it called acronym for them would be. But when I think about like what do they do for their job? Do they just walk around the forest and make sure people aren't inside building? Because the one thing I can at least say is that there's no structures. From what I'm seeing here, there's no structures on the like within the forest. But people have gone in and started planting their own trees, planting vegetables, planting whatever they want in large tracts. And I question, I'm like, are these just regular Kenyans who do this? Because when I think about this, I'm like, we are very unserious people. As Kenyans, we're very unserious for doing this type of stuff. But my question is, are these politicians or these local farmers? Because from my understanding, if you are caught within those places by the Kenya Forestry Service, you're going to be in trouble. So, how do they not notice somebody cutting down 10 acres of a forest and what's it calling and planting their own stuff? Now, like I said, that's around the Nyandaro side called Kamai, specifically Riga. It says that there's a school in here. What in the world? Ragia Forest Primary. How is there a school within how is there a school within this place? What in the world? Now, that's where I get confused because I'm like, is this private land or is this part of our forest? And it's not only in the Aberdares. Go over to the right and look at around Mount Kenya, right? It doesn't matter what side you're looking from. If you're looking from the Kirinyaga side, you'll see the same thing. Type in Mount Kenya Naromoru Park Gate, right? You'll definitely see that that's a national park and that's an entrance to the what's it called to the actual Mount Kenya side. But before you even get to the gate, there's like 90, 100, 200 acres of people just what's it called planting within the forest or doing some type of tree farming. And I'm like, they don't even try to hide it because they demarcate their tracks by cutting down trees. And in my head, I'm like, who allows this? Who allows this? Realistically, we're not even gonna get there. We're not gonna get there. But you go to that Kirinyaga side, you'll see that. You go on the south side of the mountain, you'll see the same thing. You go towards the Meru side, over towards Meru, and you look at right at a place. What is this place called? Mu. Muchene, afforestation and conservation. Okay, so that throws me off because I'm like, afforestation, is this allowed or is it not allowed? But even then, on the north side of Mount Kenya, you'll notice that where we have all those flower farms, and if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure the Kenyatta family also grows flowers there. That is the most eaten up part of Mount Kenya. Like the majority of Mount Kenya is surrounded by green forest that probably spans out at least like 5 miles, maybe 6, 7, 10 miles, and you'll see thick forest covering. But on the northeastern side, specifically, I'm gonna give you the name of this area. What is this place called? Okay, between Mount Kenya and the Ngarendare forest is where a lot of flower farms are. And this looks unhealthy because when you understand how like just the average Kenyans will farm, they're not doing large scale farming like this. This is at least 1,000, 2,000 acres of straight up trees cut down and what's it called? Aggressive, intensive farming. When you look at a normal area where it's Kenyan families living, maybe you'll have an acre, like 5 acres, 6 acres, 10 acres cut out. But like 300, 400 acres of no trees, that's unhealthy. It doesn't allow the soil to regenerate. It doesn't, it doesn't allow the, what's it called? The animals a place to actually come and nest and poop on the soil and nutritionize. I don't know, give us nutrients into our soil. But like I said, that's just looking at the Aberdare ranges and around Mount Kenya. You go to Western, it's the same thing. Like I said, we are very unserious people. It doesn't matter if we come from Central. It doesn't matter if we come from Western. The same thing is happening there. But the on the Western side, I'm looking at the Southwestern Mao National Reserve, right? Probably the biggest forest on that side of the country, on the Western side. And one thing you'll notice if you zoom into the forest, right? Specifically, like a place called Masese, Masese. The interesting thing about this, and it's the same thing around Mount Kenya, is that all around the Western Mount National Reserve is almost like a tea farm that surrounds the whole forest. And to me, it doesn't make sense. It looks like it's one continuous farm. It looks like it's one continuous tea operation, and there's not a single house there. So I'm wondering, I'm like, are these high up politicians who do this type of crap, or are these locals? And it's the same thing around Mount Kenya. It's a lot of tea farms. And then the scary part about this is you'll see the boundary demarcation of the forest. But these tea farms that usually go on the edge of the forest are go in, they jet into the forest at least like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 acres. And if you're driving on that main road that lines the demarcation of the forest, you wouldn't know that the actual demarcation is at the edge of the road. You would think that it's behind that tea farm because this thing runs all around the forest. Like the whole forest is surrounded by like one continuous 5 acre farm, what's it called? Tea farm. And then if you even go further north, you go to like, what is this, Nandi? South Nandi Forest. It's the same thing. You'll see the demarcation, the dotted line showing where the forest boundary is, but surrounding the whole South Nandi Forest is some tea operation. Who owns it? I don't know. Should it be there? Heck no, right? But one of the most interesting ones to me is along the southwestern Mao National Reserve. And I would actually appreciate if somebody can explain what happened in this area to me. I don't live in Kenya, I grew up here. So, the specific place, if you guys type in on Google Maps, type in Bo. How do you even pronounce this, bro? Botoret Center. Botoret Center, right? And it's along the right side of the Western Mao National Reserve. This one threw me off because it's like usually it's just like small encroachments. But when I'm looking at this area, it's like a large triangle. It's a large triangle, probably at least a few hundred, maybe a few thousand acres. And when I zoom into it, I'm seeing roads. It looks like there were roads marked within this forest. And if you look into it, it's divided up how we divide our land. Long tracks, as if like one family was here, one family was here, one family was here. And there's no homes. The forest has been cut, but there's no homes. There's roads, and it's almost divided. Like at one point, there were thousands of people living here, and it looks like people were kicked out. I don't know what happened. I don't know if someone can explain this to me in the comments, but please, please, please type in what's it called? Oh my God, how do you even pronounce these names? How do you just type in Botoret Center because it has a pin dropped within the actual forest. Or if you want a more what's it called closer areas, there's some place here called Simotwet, Simotwet shopping center. If you type that in and you just zoom out and you look at this large triangle along the Mao forest, it looks like at one point there were thousands of people living there. It goes deep into it too, like almost into the heart of it. And I don't even know what happened there. I'm like, was this like some out of control encroachment that the government had to come and what's it called, kick people out? If someone could please explain this to me, it's been baffling my head. It looks like people actually live there, and when you zoom in, it like you'll start seeing patches of dirt taken out as if there was a house there and the house got taken out. But I don't understand it. I don't understand it. If you were to ask me, right, if if I was in charge, if I was in charge, maybe this you don't even have to be in charge. This should be like once or twice in a year. There should be a national movement where people go on the boundary of the forest, walk around the whole forest boundary, and if there's anybody who's encroached, you tear out, you cut down their trees, you if they're planting vegetables, take all that crap out. I'm sorry, I don't care. If this is a national forest, it's a national forest. It's not for you to grow your own vegetables, to grow your own potatoes and corn or trees. It's not for you. It's not fair for you to be able to use something that belongs to all of us for your own private gain, right? And what should happen is the Kenya Wildlife Service or Forestry Service should once a year do what's it called? A clearing, a full on clearing of our forest boundaries, checking if anybody has encroached and destroying their crops, destroying every single thing that they're growing within there, right? And if I zoom out and go even further north, you go to what place is this? Choroget. Is that Choroget? Choroget area. No, that's not even the area. Kaptagat Forest. Is that the name of this forest? No, that's Kaptagat Forest Station Junction. But if you type that in, right? Kaptagat Forest Station Junction. you'll see that this whole forest is being chewed up by Kenyans who live here locally. I don't even know what tribe of people this would be, but like I said, us as a whole country, we are very unserious people. It's happening in central, it's happening in western, northwestern, southwestern. Every one of our forests are being eaten up. And then even if you go further north, northwest, along the Mount Elgon National Park. Mount Elgon is shared between Kenya and Uganda. When you look at the Kenya side, you'll notice why I say we are very unserious people. On the Uganda side, it looks like they actually listen to laws and they don't encroach on their forest. It looks like they respect the national forest and they don't eat it up. But you go to the Kenya side of Mount Elgon and just zoom in to our forest, you'll see large tracts taken out, large tracts, what's it called, deforested. Now, I do understand that that's a part of conservancy, taking out certain sections of the forest to leave them as plains to allow, what's it called, to allow animals to roam there and find food and lay there and all that. I understand that that's done on a conservative basis, like depending on it's selective. It's a selective basis. But you can tell the difference between that and some genius who thinks that the forest belongs to them. Overall, we don't have that many forests, right? Yeah, let me even look at Kapcherop Forest. Kap Kapcherop. Yep, Kapcherop Forest. Look over there. You'll see the same thing. A long continuous farm. And then the funny thing is, they're always farming tea. They're, it's always tea, and that's the giveaway. It'll go from green forest recovery to bright green farming, and you're just like somebody's growing tea here. But overall, you guys let me know in the comment section. Do you feel the same way I feel? For me, I don't care if it's my people, if it's this tribe or that tribe. It doesn't matter who it is. You, it should not be allowed. It should not be tolerated. Our Forest Service needs to be serious. Maybe the demarcation of the forest should be lined with trees, certain trees that gives it a clear demarcation, not just a road, because the road doesn't do anything, right? And there should be constant surveillance of all our forests, constant, what's it called? Constant chaos where we go in and destroy anybody who's chosen to eat up the forest for their own private gain. I'm going to end the video right there. Overall, we need to conserve these forests. We don't have many of them. We have a large population, right? And we are not living back in 1920 or 30 or 40 where there were only 5 or 6, 7 million Kenyans in the whole country. No, we have a population now of 55, close to 60 million Kenyans, right? These forests serve everybody. They're usually in the highland areas where it rains the most, and it's a catchment system. It allows that water to seep into the ground and actually regenerate our underground reservoirs. That's the point of conserving these areas. It allows the earth to breathe. But if people come in and clear it out for flower farming, for tea farming, for tree farming that's not indigenous trees, it messes up the whole ecosystem. And I wish I spoke Swahili because there's so many what's it called? There's so many sayings of conserving or something like planting a tree for your grandkids down the road. I'm like, I want my grandkids to be able to breathe fresh air in Kenya. I want my grandkids to be able to go through Mao National Forest and not find corn growing there. It's not natural. It's not natural for corn to grow in the forest just like that, right? But I'm in the video right there. If someone can please tell me what happened in the southwestern southwestern Mao National Forest, specifically around that area that I said, type in Botoret Center or Chep Simowet Shopping Center. If you type in those two places and you zoom out and you'll see a big, big triangle almost of area that's been deforested and divided up as if people are living there. If someone can please explain to me what happened in that area, I would appreciate it. But overall, this should not happen. Our Kenya Forest Service team should be serious about their jobs and go in and destroy people's crops, destroy people's trees, chop all that down. It's not yours. I'm gonna end the video right there. I love y'all and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.